Subscribe to my channel for more stories like this. The midday crowd at Milano's was bustling when my brother Marcus chose to share his news. I was overseeing dishes in the back, making sure every meal was up to par before it went out to the customers. The usual noises of frying skillets, slicing blades, and lively chatter echoed through the area I'd come to cherish during the last 3 years. Marcus had held the position of general manager for 8 months, right after our folks persuaded me to let him demonstrate his abilities in what they thought was the family operation. What they were unaware of was that Milano's wasn't the family venture they believed it to be. When I acquired the faltering eatery via my company, Riverside Holdings, I'd kept the ownership details under wraps. My relatives viewed me as the tech-savvy girl who'd somehow landed a gig in food service, not as an individual skilled at managing a thriving enterprise. Sarah, Marcus's words pierced the kitchen clamor. Up front right away. I cleaned my hands on my apron and stepped to the service window. The eating area was full of our typical Tuesday patrons, professionals, households, loyal visitors who'd integrated into our wider circle. Marcus positioned himself right in the midst, his posture inflated as if he were giving a major speech. Everyone, he proclaimed at a volume that reached the whole place. I must address a personnel matter that's impacting your meals. My gut sank. Whatever followed, it wouldn't be positive. Meet my sister, Sarah, he went on, pointing at me with dramatic flair. She's been employed here as a prep cook, but honestly, she's falling short of expectations. The family assistance initiative stops now. The room went hushed. Utensils paused en route to lips. Discussions halted abruptly. Even the crew behind me had fallen silent, all picking up on the tension change. Marcus, I murmured, perhaps we ought to handle this behind closed doors. No, openness matters, he countered, using that specific inflection he'd honed from youth, the one indicating he relished holding sway over me. You know, Sarah has long been the letdown in our clan. Couldn't maintain steady work, so our parents requested I assist her. But I'm operating a company, not a welfare service. Mrs. Chin, a frequent guest who visited every Tuesday with her reading group, appeared uneasy. The corporate meal gathering in Booth 6 had paused their discussion to gawk. This was precisely the sort of spectacle that might ruin Milano's image for good. Observe, Marcus proceeded, growing more engaged with his listeners. Sarah believes she grasps the food industry since she can adhere to instructions. But leadership, planning, superior guest relations that demands genuine abilities, proper schooling, actual background, elements she's lacked. He'd been gearing up for this instant over recent months. Each team gathering where he'd brush off my ideas. Each occasion he'd present himself to suppliers as the proprietor's offspring. Each choice he'd rendered without input, presuming his role as general manager granted him supreme control. Therefore, starting now, Marcus declared, retrieving a dismissal notice from his jacket, Sarah's position here concludes. We'll recruit a competent prep cook who can truly aid our progress. The space stayed immobilized. Our lead waiter, Miguel, seemed devastated. He'd been part of the team from the beginning, aware of the true situation, but comprehended the reasons for maintaining secrecy about ownership. Our household interactions were tangled enough without mixing in company possession. This can't be real, I uttered, though a portion of me anticipated it. Marcus had forever been the favored sibling, the one with the commerce qualification and the assured grip. When our parents discussed achievement, they referred to folks like Marcus, boisterous, driven, eager to claim praise. Completely real, he answered, offering the dismissal paper. Gather your items and surrender your apron. Guards will accompany you if required. I surveyed the eating area at the countenances I'd familiarized myself with across 3 years. Mrs. Chen's reading group, who consistently requested our signature pasta and provided ample gratuities. The youthful pair in Booth 2 who'd shared their initial outing here and returned monthly to mark their milestone. The building team from the project opposite who relied on us during their brief meal periods. These individuals weren't merely patrons to me. They were the motivation behind my 16-hour shifts to transform Milano's from a declining spot with a single-star review rating into the local treasure it had evolved into. They were the cause I directly vetted each employee. Why I devoted months refining our offerings. Why I'd poured not only funds, but my passion into creating this venue as something exceptional. All right, I stated softly, loosening my apron. I'll collect my belongings. Marcus grinned, evidently satisfied. Wise decision. No need to complicate this further. I proceeded to the back area, beyond the setup zones I'd planned, beyond the gear I'd meticulously chosen, beyond the roster I'd labored over to guarantee equitable shifts and fair compensation for all. My custom blade collection entered my satchel with the handful of possessions I stored in the workspace. Miguel materialized beside me. Sarah, this is insane. You can't simply allow him. It's fine, I responded, although it certainly wasn't. Occasionally, folks require tough lessons. While I assemble my stuff, I overheard Marcus in the front area reshaping the tale for our guests. At times, difficult calls are necessary to uphold standards. We'll secure a fresh skilled chef by the next day. The back crew observed me with bewilderment and irritation. They recognized who truly managed this establishment, who sanctioned their timetables, who advocated for their increases, who remained after hours to fill in during crises. Yet they also realized that voicing opinions might jeopardize their positions, and many had dependents to care for. I hoisted my satchel onto my arm and traversed the eating space once more. The patrons regarded with awkward looks, detecting they'd seen an event that seemed off. Marcus lingered by the till, limbs folded, appearing content with his open show of command. Best wishes with it all, I told him while passing. Won't require it, he retorted. At last, going to operate this spot correctly. I exited via the entrance into the daytime glow. My 3 years at Milano's formally ended. The paradox didn't escape me. I'd been dismissed from my personal eatery by an individual who truly thought he possessed the right. My device vibrated upon arriving at my vehicle. Unfamiliar caller. Greetings, Miss Rodriguez. Jennifer Walsh from First National Business Banking here. We're contacting you due to some odd activity notifications on your Milano's eatery profile. It seems an unauthorized person tried to tap into your company credit facility. Additionally, a staff member phoned asserting ownership and insisting on entry to your functional profiles. I wish to confirm this personally as you're registered as the only profile owner and enterprise proprietor. I remained in my vehicle, observing through Milano's entry panes as Marcus motioned vigorously to the lingering guests, likely detailing how improved conditions would become. That's quite intriguing, I remarked. What precisely did this staff member assert? He claimed to be Marcus Rodriguez, the proprietor, and required revoking your entry since you were unemployed now. He also sought prompt access to the day's earnings and insisted we cancel your latest gear acquisitions. Upon requesting appropriate proof, he grew rather upset. By the pane, I noticed Marcus on his device, his assured demeanor turning to perplexity, then annoyance. Miss Rodriguez, you still with me? Yes, present. And no, Marcus Rodriguez isn't the proprietor. He's the general manager, but that might alter today. Can you dispatch a representative to the eatery? Some ownership explanations need personal handling. Certainly. Our enterprise liaison can arrive in half an hour. We handle unauthorized entry efforts with utmost gravity, particularly when someone asserts control over a profile without rightful claim. I ended the call and lingered in my vehicle briefly, gazing at the eatery I'd constructed from scratch. 3 years prior, Milano's had been a deteriorating joint with sanitary infractions and a notoriety for awful cuisine. I'd obtained it for a sliver of its valued worth, investing months in upgrades, assembling the proper team, honing dishes, and fostering ties with locals. My relatives never grasped how I negotiated into a food service role. They figured I was fortunate that somebody pitted the clan let down and offered an opportunity. The truth that I'd spotted a discounted commercial prospect, obtained funding, maneuvered permit needs, and converted it to a lucrative venture didn't align with their view of my role. Marcus had perpetually been the triumphant one, with the MBA and office position. Upon his layoff 6 months back, our folks urged me to aid him. Offer your sibling an opening, they'd urged. He possesses authentic commercial know-how. He might instruct you plenty on proper eatery management. Thus, I'd employed him as general manager, wishing kinship would surpass my doubts. Initially, it functioned adequately. Marcus contributed vigor and drive, and portions of his office background applied to eatery functions. But slowly, his mindset evolved from appreciation to presumption, from teamwork to dominance. He commenced labeling himself to providers as the proprietor's child. He initiated solo judgments on personnel and dish alterations. He discussed his outlook for the eatery's path as though I were merely a fleeting barrier to his lofty schemes. And more so, he handled me not as his superior, but as an underling needing perpetual oversight and adjustment. My device alerted with a message from Miguel. He's losing it. Bank contacted and he's yelling at all. What's occurring? I responded, no concerns, all will be okay. Maintain the back running. 25 minutes on, a sharp-dressed lady in a blue outfit stepped into Milano's. From the front panes, I saw her near Marcus, who stood close to the till, seeming more distressed. She offered her card and requested a private chat. I observed Marcus's stance change from assured to protective to baffled. His movements grew more lively, his tone elevated, though words escaped me from the vehicle. Other patrons started peeking at their exchange with evident unease. The lady stayed composed and expert, sometimes checking a device she held. She was evidently clarifying a point Marcus resisted, judging by his escalating desperate replies. My device sounded once more. Marcus's line, "Sarah, return immediately." His tone was strained with alarm. "Some lady from the bank is here spouting wild claims on ownership. She's stating you possess Milano's, which is absurd. Come fix this. Regretfully, I no longer work there." I answered steadily. "You dismissed me, recall? Before the whole midday group. This isn't funny. She's threatening to lock the profiles until verifying ownership with you. She's mentioning contacting main offices and legal teams. This might close the eatery." Via the pane, I saw the bank agent conversing with Miguel, who nodded and gestured to the back. Multiple guests had placed cash on tables and were exiting, obviously bothered by the turmoil in their intended calm meal venue. "Sounds grave," I noted. "Perhaps he should have considered that prior to shaming me openly before our patrons." "Our patrons? Sis, you're a prep cook. You lack patrons. In fact, Marcus, you're soon to discover something fascinating on that." I disconnected and exited my vehicle. Moment to manage this correctly. Upon re-entering Milano's, the bank agent glanced from her talk with Miguel and grinned knowingly. "Miss Rodriguez, glad you arrived. Jennifer Walsh from First National. We chatted earlier. Thanks for the swift action, Jennifer. I value your care in safeguarding our enterprise profiles." Marcus gaped at us with rising bewilderment. "Sarah, what's this lady referring to? Why is she addressing you as Rodriguez? As if you're significant." Jennifer checked her device. "Mr. Marcus Rodriguez, I assume you're noted in our setup as a permitted staff for dealings, but not as profile owner or enterprise head. The profile is fully Sarah Rodriguez's, under Riverside Holdings LLC. The leftover patron ceased feigning meals and openly observed our exchange. Mrs. Chen's reading group had devices out, likely messaging kin about the spectacle at their regular meal site. "Impossible," Marcus exclaimed, volume rising. "This is a clan eatery. Our folks established this. Sarah handles the back." "Per our data," Jennifer persisted, "professionally, Miss Sarah Rodriguez acquired Milano's 3 years back via her LLC. She possesses the commerce permit, alcohol authorization, rental contracts, and all functional profiles. You were included as permitted general manager 8 months prior with restricted dealing rights." I observed Marcus absorb this data. His expression shifted through puzzlement, skepticism, fury, and ultimately a realizing grasp of his grave misjudgment. "But you lack business knowledge," he directed at me, tone diminished. You operate in the back." "I operate throughout," I countered. "Since I possess it all." Jennifer retrieved a file holder. I carried duplicates of profile packs and enterprise enrollment documents given the apparent mix-up on authority tiers. "Miss Rodriguez, you'll review the unauthorized entry tries and choose your course." She passed the holder and I skimmed the sheets. Marcus had attempted entry not merely to daily earnings, but also our credit line, supplier payments, and wage setups. Success could have inflicted major harm to our fiscal health. "Jennifer," I stated, Some adjustments to the permitted user roster are needed. Marcus advanced, alarm evident in his tone. Sis, hold on. Let's discuss alone. A mix-up occurred. The mix-up, I answered, was believing you could dismiss me from my eatery. I faced the leftover patrons who merited clarity on the disorder they'd seen. Everyone, sorry for interrupting your meal. I'm Sarah Rodriguez, Milano's owner. We've resolved some interpersonnel matters. Miguel, our lead waiter, will ensure all meals are free today, and I trust you'll return for the serene meal you expect here. Mrs. Chin lifted her arm as in school. Dear, did you update the offerings 2 years back to add those excellent plant-based choices? Yes, ma'am. We aim to ensure all locals felt included, and you kept open in last winter's Blizzard for the Builders to have a heated meal spot. Correct. She approved with a nod. Keep at it then. That guy's conduct was totally out of line. The building team head from the edge table rose. We visited for 3 years. Cuisine's excellent. Assistance always solid. Family issues don't concern us, but respect during our meal does. Other guests voiced consent. These were supporters who'd backed Milano's from struggling spot to community staple. They'd seen me handle their requests, recall their likes, inquire on their kin. To them, I wasn't the clan letdown. I was the one improving their midday daily. Marcus lingered amid the eating space, his open authority display rebounding fully. The bold talk on recruiting skilled crew and managing a true operation now appeared as precisely that, an unaware seizure by someone who'd basically misread the scenario. Ms. Rodriguez, Jennifer inquired, how to adjust our setup on Mr. Marcus Rodriguez's entry levels. I regarded my sibling, gazing downward with the slumped stance of one whose full perspective had crumbled. Eliminate him from all profiles now, I directed. And Jennifer, thanks for guarding my enterprise. Your care likely averted major fiscal harm. She agreed and noted on her device. We'll enact these shifts shortly. Mr. Marcus Rodriguez, return any enterprise cards, entry codes, or fiscal papers you hold. Marcus glanced up at me with a look I'd never witnessed. Not rage, not rejection, but true acknowledgement of his disastrous misstep. Sarah, he murmured. I was unaware. Our folks mentioned their usual, I cut in. That I'm the clan let down needing aid from her triumphant sibling. What they ignored is I acquired this failing spot 3 years back. Made it profitable and generated roles for 15, you included. The space stayed quiet. Our clan spectacle unfolding before folks wanting peaceful meals. I provided you a leadership role since kinship matters to me. I went on. I entrusted you with key duties and hoped you'd apply them to grasp the operation, perhaps become a true collaborator someday. Instead, you applied them to shame me openly on flawed presumptions. Marcus's frame drooped. What's next? I scanned the eating space at Miguel, ready to resolve this. At Mrs. Chen's reading group, observing with intrigued worry at the building team who'd sacrificed mealtime to clan turmoil. At the corporate meal table where folks checked time and evidently rued their venue pick. Now you empty your workspace, surrender all enterprise items, and ponder if open shaming is optimal leadership, I stated. And I resumed managing my eatery. Jennifer completed her documents and gripped my hand. Ms. Rodriguez, we value your patronage and regret the trouble. For aid with profile safety updates, feel free to contact. After her departure, Marcus lingered amid the eating space seeming adrift. The assured general manager who dismissed me half an hour prior was supplanted by someone clueless on next steps. Sarah, he uttered, apologies. I truly believed. I know your belief, I answered. The same as our entire clans, that triumph resembles an MBA and office rank, not someone silently crafting from zero. The issue is you never investigated the actual happenings here before opting to seize command. Miguel neared warily. Boss, your orders? Ensure all are handled, I directed, readying my apron and informed the back crew the turmoil ends. We have an eatery to operate. As I headed to the back, Marcus hailed me. What to tell our folks? I halted and pivoted. Inform them their clan let down possesses a thriving eatery, hires 15, and just grasped a key lesson on presumptions. And Marcus, If someone offers you work next, perhaps grasp the operation before attempting takeover. The midday bustle returned to normal flow, though with whispers of thrill on what patrons had seen. Mrs. Chen's reading group already scheduled next week's return, especially to back the eatery post-clan turmoil. The building team departed their standard ample gratuity and vowed to promote Milano's as the top midday venue locally. By afternoon crew's arrival, Marcus had silently vacated his workspace and gone. Miguel discovered his keys and entry items on the table with a scrawled message saying, "I'm sorry." That night, while securing the eatery I'd crafted from zilch, I pondered the day's occurrences. Marcus's open dismissal hadn't solely concerned claiming command. It involved a basic miscomprehension of my identity and capabilities. Our clan had always perceived me as needing aid, not offering it. But Milano's triumph wasn't chance or fortune. It stemmed from 3 years of meticulous strategy, diligence, fiscal ventures, and connection forging. The patrons who backed me amid Marcus's outburst grasped that, even if my clan didn't. My device alerted with a message from unfamiliar digits. "Marcus here. Talk tomorrow?" Much to learn, I think. I grinned and stowed the device. Tomorrow for lessons and potential redemptions. Tonight, a thriving eatery to secure and growth schemes to devise. At times, the clan letdown emerges as the clan triumph tale. It merely requires the proper instant for others to see.